Nexus Trial by A. J. Eaton. Part 1. Nexus. Chapter 1. Corinth Wilbers was dead. His name would go to the bottom of the list. Number 3897. I suppose the location of his name mattered little now. The location of my own was of far more importance. Number 1109 Serafina Matthews. The number flashed on my view glass. 2 hours ago, I was 1110th. Corinth had been above me in the rankings. His death had increased my odds. Slightly. I suppose I should thank him for that. Thank you, Corinth, for your sacrifice. Your death has made my survival 0.0000001% more likely. Pfft, right. As if being one spot higher really made that much of a difference, like it makes up for Corinth no longer being by my side. I only saw Corinth earlier today. It was only 4 hours ago when we were sitting together on the bus on the way home from school. We had sat on the same bench and had gotten off at the same stop. We had walked together to Hobdy House, our apartment building, and climbed the 12 flights of stairs to reach our neighboring front doors. We had been talking and laughing. The grumpy tabby cat that we passed outside the apartment building had been swaying wide-eyed after Corinth had pulled its container of catnip away. It had left us both laughing hilariously for the rest of the trip to our front doors. There was no sign, no indication that Corinth was about to do what he did. He was smiling as he entered his apartment, already greeting his 5 younger siblings. He had waved merrily to me before he disappeared from view. There will be others that fall, that will give in to their fear overnight. There would be even more just before the eater departs, not long after dawn tomorrow. Maybe some of them would be higher too, though I imagine most will be lower. Corinth would probably be the highest position to give up before we'd even begun. He had been in the 1,003rd position, and what did anyone in the top 1,000 have to worry about? They had a chance. Most of them returned home. Those of us that were below the 1,000th position were the ones that were usually never seen again. My position was worrying. I had worked tirelessly this year to try and get into a safer position, between 600 and 999, or even near Corinth at just over 1,000, but a flurry of hard tests and miserable grades had thwarted my progress. I had risen from 1,509, but that was after a 300-place drop over the summer holiday. I had ranted and raved to Corinth about the injustices of that on the first morning of school as I glared at the names of those kids that could afford summer school. With extra lessons and applicable tests, summer school attendees increased both their grades and their position. I had spent the summer working, trying to save up some money so that Aaron could attend at least one season of summer school when he was older. I think I saved up enough for 2 in the end, as long as my family does not need it in the meantime. However, it seemed that all the effort I had put in and all my hard work in lessons and on tests were in vain. I suppose everyone else had had the same idea. I had fallen short of my target, and with no more school and no more tests, the only way I could move into a safer rank was with people like Corinth doing what Corinth did. Lots of people like Corinth. It wasn't unusual for people to give up or drop out. Not around here and not tonight, but Corinth was a surprise. At 1,003, he had had a good chance of getting in the safer rankings by the time we began tomorrow. He was smart and strong and was the highest-ranked senior from the lower district for over 60 years. If anyone from the lower district had stood a chance of returning home, it was him. Well, not anymore. Who knows who, if anyone, would make it back from the lower district this year. If you are a gambling person, maybe even for this event, not judging, lots of people are around here. It is the biggest event of the year after all. I honestly wouldn't put my money on anyone else from the lower district, even me. I would have a look in the 500 to 600 range. They were usually the safer bet with a higher payout than those at the very top of the list. Betting on anyone ranked below the 1,000th was a sure way of losing all your money. I sighed as I turned off my view glass, leaving just a regular pair of glasses. I resisted the temptation to return to the rankings. Surely nothing has changed in the last 5 seconds. My rank won't have improved. Maybe it could have. Number 1109, Serafina Matthews. No change. My heart twisted and my stomach churned. This is why I shouldn't have looked. I placed the glasses on the makeshift table beside the mattress I shared with my siblings. I fiddled with my fingers, trying to avoid looking at them. It was no use. I needed a distraction, but there was little to do in our bedroom. It wouldn't have changed in the last 5 seconds. Maybe it has. No. But it could have. No. I was desperate for a distraction. We had very little in the bedroom. 2 mattresses, wooden plinths as bedside tables, and a sheet separating my parents' mattress from ours. On the left wooden plinth was one solitary book. It was Aaron's storybook, his only one. It had been Issa's before him, and mine before her.
The Solar Sinuth, a tale to tell, in a world where distrust and discord dwell. Humans frowned at Sinuth's kin, a tale of disdain where judgments begin.
It might even have been James and Isaac's before mine. Maybe. I can't remember. Have the rankings changed? No.
They ate the food, destroyed the homes. In their wake, desolation roams. But in this darkness, a light did gleam, Slara, the Solar Sinuth, a different dream.
It was whimsical, rhythmic, and calming. I had a vague memory of a deep voice, not my father's, reading the very words to me as I dropped off to sleep. I couldn't see a face or location, but it brought with it a warmth, a feeling of comfort, safety. You should check the rankings again. No.
Not like the others, she stood apart, a beating sun within a shadowed heart. Kind and gentle, her spirit bright, in a realm where wrongs needed a right.
I couldn't create the face of the man who read it to me. A feeling of sadness enveloped me. Darkness swept through my heart like the night across the sky. The warm comfort of the memory vanished. Rankings? No.
She sought not destruction, nor chaos sown. A peace seeker in a world overthrown. Yearning for a connection, a place to belong. In a symphony of discord, she sang a so.
I grabbed the glasses and shoved them on my face, almost poking my eye out when I misjudged the angle. 1109 Serafina Matthews. I cursed my own weakness. I turned off the view glass and removed the glasses completely, rushing over to my parents' side of the room to leave the glasses on the block of wood beside their mattress. I drew the makeshift curtain around the bed. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm not looking again. Have the rankings changed? I don't need to know. Have I gone up? I don't need to know. It makes no difference. I need to check. I need to get further away from the temptation. My mother was preparing dinner when I hurried into the kitchen, already smelling the morsh broth. My nose wrinkled without my permission. Morsh was cheap, not very nutritious, and tasted so bland that the broth created tasted like water. We had it so frequently the wall behind the stove was stained Morsh's distinctive purple color, and the floor and furnishings were forever smelling of the off-putting scent. Had I hoped for something more for my last supper? Yes. Was I surprised? No, not really. We had been through this twice before. It wasn't any different then either. I approached my mother where she stood by the stove. She appeared haggard, a beautiful woman, but without proper sleep and rest. 20 years of raising rambunctious and poor-achieving children had taken its toll. I pressed a loving kiss to her cheek as I made a show of smelling the foul-smelling broth. Thank you, Mama. It smells delicious. A little white lie that brought a smile to her face was worth it. So different from the incredulous look from Issa. Both were a welcome change from the looks I had been receiving over the last few days. For weeks, they had varied between worry and grief, as if I had already been buried 10 feet under. The last few days had been worse. Mournful. Fina. I caught Aaron as he leapt out of his chair, one arm out towards me and the other holding his stuffed toy Sinuth. He was currently the youngest in the family by a good few years, but not for long. The newest addition to our family was a short 3 months from being born. I held my happy little monkey on my hip as I turned to the kitchen table, where Isa fingers tapped against the wooden surface. Did you hear about Corinth? Torfa messaged me. He's your friend, right? Issa questioned as I took my place at the table. Are we friends? We did spend a lot of time together. He had helped me through some of the harder geology material. We would be on babysitting duty together too. With my 2 younger siblings and his 5, we made a rather formidable babysitting team. He was funny and kind, and when I think back, there wasn't a time when he wasn't there. So yes, I suppose we're friends. We were best friends. Now he is dead. Corinth's younger sister, Torfa, was best friends with Issa. I guess the children of our respective families were destined to be friends with us living next door to each other. They were unusually quiet today. Unusual, but understandable. They had 3 children under 5, plus 3 other children including Corinth and Torfa. They were a boisterous bunch, always screaming or cheering about something. This evening, they were silent. I heard. My chest hurt, but I couldn't afford to be distracted right now. If I opened myself up now, I would not be able to close it again before tomorrow. I would grieve after, or I'd be with him, wherever that may be. Issa grimaced before asking, "Do you think it was because of the... That's enough." I was glad when our mother cut her off. What was she really expecting as an answer? What else could it have been because of? Let's talk about something else, Mother suggested as she began to lay the table around us. Your father will be home soon. My father was a janitor at Morris and Harrod's Law, a medium-sized law firm run by 2 cousins from the Middle District. The cousins had been father's friends before he was assigned to the lower district. From that moment on, to them, father was perceived as an unskilled laborer whom they could pay next to nothing, and nothing more. Mr. Wilbers, Corinth's father, also worked there as a janitor. Do you think Mr. Wilbers stayed all day today? Issa whispered to me while Mom was laying 2 placemats on the other side of the table. He has to, I whispered back. He can't afford to miss a minute or he'd get fired. But his son has... Doesn't matter. What Corinth did, it's not honorable. The Wilbers name is tarnished now, even among the lower ranks. There's a real risk he might lose his job over this. He's got to tread carefully. He has to go to work, I told her sternly. She should know this. It was the way of the world. Every year we saw the same act. Saw the shamed families and saw the disgusted reporters exposing the family's shame to the world. There was a moment of silence as our mother placed placemats in front of us. Aaron placed his head on my shoulder as he played with his toy. He growled as he rocked the Sinuth towards me. I smiled and growled back, hitting the Sinuth's head gently with the tip of my finger. Aaron put the Sinuth on its back with a mournful sound. I smiled and pressed a kiss to the top of his head. Where are you in the ranks? Issa whispered as Mom returned to the kitchen cabinets for some cutlery. I shook my head at her, silently telling her to drop it. But she did not look away. She kept her eyes on mine, waiting for an answer. I sighed and gave it. 1,109. Issa sat back and her eyes dropped to the tabletop. Her eyes briefly flashed to 2 seats on the other side of the 8-seater table. 7 seats had a placemat. 5 would be used. My eyes flashed there too before we both averted our eyes to the table. It could be worse, Issa whispered. I'm 2,310th. You have a year to work on it, I told her. It won't be enough, neither will yours. Issa replied honestly. No, it won't, but we'll be the last. Aaron's will be higher, I told her, glancing down at the oblivious Aaron sitting calmly on my lap. He looked up briefly with a smile when he heard his name, but quickly turned back to his toy when I said no more. I ran a hand over his forehead gently, brushing his hair back. He would make it. Issa and I had an agreement. We would be the last. Did you have fun at play school, Aaron? I asked as Mom began placing the cutlery on the table. Aaron hummed and nodded. We learned our ABCs. You learned your ABCs, I corrected. I learned my ABCs, Aaron repeated. We learned a song, so I remember. Wow, will you sing it for me? I asked him with a smile. Aaron opened his mouth to begin singing, but Mom spoke before he could. He can sing it for you after dinner, in your room. I'll be singing it in my sleep if I have to listen to it again." She had a smile on her face, and a little chuckle accompanied her words. She looked years younger when she smiled and laughed. Issa and I shared an amused glance before we launched into our own rendition of the familiar ABC song. Aaron joined in too, at twice the volume, when he recognized the song. Mom sent us a playful glare, pointing the spatula in her hand at us threateningly. We rolled into a repeat of the song as if it was a second verse and then a third. As we entered the fourth, Mom finally joined in and Dad walked in the door. The four of us laughed as Dad looked at us, mystified. "Aaron has learned his ABCs today," Mom told him. "Ah, the ABC song. Well done, little man," Dad congratulated, quickly moving to press a kiss on the top of Aaron's head. He placed a gentle hand on top of mine in greeting. Issa gave a mocking cough. "Well done to you as well, Issa," Dad commented with a grin, quickly pressing a kiss to the top of her head. I opened my mouth, preparing to give my own mocking cough. "And you, Fina." A kiss was placed on my head, and if he lingered there for a bit longer than he did the other two, nobody commented. "You are just in time for dinner," Mom told him as she began ladling the broth into dishes. "How was work?" Dad looked awkwardly down at the table as he took a seat in the chair next to me. "Fine. Ordinary day." "Did Mr. Wilb—" I kicked my sister under the table and spoke over her. "We've had an ordinary day too." Dad glanced over. I suspected he knew how much of that statement was a lie and what my sister had been about to ask, but he didn't comment. Dad lifted Aaron out of my hold, ushering him to a seat on the other side of the table. Mom placed the bowls, filled to the brim with morsh broth, on the table, taking a seat between Aaron and Issa. Nobody mentioned the two seats beside Dad and Aaron. They remained empty. They always would. Next year, there will be 3 empty places. That's good. You could do with a normal day. You won't be getting many from now on, Dad said with a slim smile. "Edwin, we don't need to talk about that." Mom berated him with a stern, unyielding expression on her face. She glared at all of us to keep the conversation closed. She never did well with this. We'd seen it before, 4 years earlier and 6 before that. "So, was Mr. Wilbers at work?" Issa asked, her words so fast they almost merged into one, presumably to avoid another interrupting kick to the shin. Dad let out a confused chuckle. "Yes, why wouldn't he be?" Mom gave the 3 of us a stern glare, while Issa looked to me to explain. Dad remained looking between the 3 of us in confusion, wondering what it was that we seemed to know that he didn't. "Corinth is dead," I told him emotionlessly. "Well, it's unfortunate to hear that, but that can't be an excuse to skip work. If it were, half the families out there would be bunkering down for the next 2 weeks, and nothing would ever get done." It was a Nevarian response. It was the shared opinion, no matter which social district you were from. Death was ever present. The world went on. Grieving was done at home, if at all. "Wasn't he above you? Have you moved up any since this morning?" "Only one place. Still in the 1,100s, I told him. No fear was permitted in my voice. It was strong and confident. He would like that. Regardless, there was silence. No one dared comment on my odds or even berate Dad for asking the question on our last night together. This time tomorrow, they would be eating as a 4, and who knew where I would be. After the evening meal passed in a mournful silence, I quickly volunteered to put Aaron to bed and sit in the room with him. No one questioned it or challenged it. I tucked him into bed, telling him stories of James and Isaac, or at least what I could remember of them. I wanted him to know them. He settled down quickly in the silence of the room, completely oblivious to the tension in the rest of the flat. He didn't understand, and none of us has tried to make him. I grabbed my glasses from my parents' bedside and opened the view screen for the rankings. My name remained, blinking at me tauntingly. Number 1109, Serafina Matthews. I scrolled down. Number 3897, Corinth Wilbers. It didn't matter. Corinth was dead. I wasn't. Not yet. Number 1109. Serafina Matthews.